To order for Monday, November 21st, 2022. First item on our agenda is presentation. Ms. Patrick?
Yes, thank you very much, President Porterfield. I'd like to introduce Mr. Neil Golub. Neil, if you'd like to come up and stand near Mary, and that'll put you on the camera. Neil's going to speak with us this evening about his concept of He's going to speak to us about new Schenectady. Take it away.
Just that simple.
Yes, that's it.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you. It's nice to meet you all. I don't think I met you all personally, but you have my personal gratitude and appreciation for letting me be here. As many of you know, I've been involved in this community for an awful lot of years. Back in the 80s, my Jane, before she passed, she and I put together with the Anti-Defamation League, A World of Difference and No Place for Hate. And these are programs that are available in our schools, K through 12, and they were first programs approved by New York State for statewide use, K through 12, and I'm happy to report that we've had a tremendous amount of success. As a matter of fact, so much, these programs have now become national and are probably one of the few that exist. In this community, we have a lot of schools. There are 8 schools that have No Place for Hate as part of their curriculum for the year. In Schenectady, unfortunately, there's only 2, and in the region, there's 8. And in the entire region, there's close to 60-odd schools that have put these programs in, and they are year-long programs for the students in the schools to work on things to help improve the conditions that exist. What I want to talk to you tonight about is the project that I have been working on for a long time. As many of you know, with Roger Hull, we started Schenectady's effort to bring itself back. Schenectady 2000 was started in about 1993, and we created some very good things with our programming and have had much success in doing that. One of the things that we wanted to do was to change the reputation of Schenectady, because there had been a long period where our reputation here had really gone down the tubes. And in 1990, our downtown was described as one of the ugliest in the state of New York. And so we attempted to do something to change that. In 1997, Bob Farley came to me and said he had an idea, and we put together the Metroplex Development Authority, which was a unique design which had been brought in from others that have been used in New York State. We got the state legislature to approve it, including the Senate and the Assembly. We did all the lobbying work and then lobbied the governor to have this legislation passed. And in 1999, we got the Metroplex Development Authority for Schenectady, and it has been Schenectady's driving engine ever since then. And frankly, as I look around today, I'm frankly amazed at the changes that have occurred in our community, and there have been substantial changes. And I know when I hear people from Albany and other parts of the community coming here for dinner or for events or activities and giving Schenectady lots of credit. But my thought has always been, what do we have to do to improve our reputation? And like we've done so many things here, if I said to you all right now, do you see the changes that have occurred in Schenectady? What would you say?
Yes.
And I've done this at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. I've done it at other meetings over the past number of months. I've spoken to literally 100 different local political executives, and everybody I have talked to has been very positive about the concept. And what I'm trying to do is to say that while we've made all these changes, there's nothing that separates Schenectady from what it was. We still have, when we say Schenectady, it still carries with it that old reputation. And what I'm suggesting we do is something very simple. And let me give you an example of something that really worked. I think we've all heard of the grocery product called Tide. We use that to clean, wash, and so forth, as you know. Well, a number of years ago, they designed a new Tide. They had a new formula, and they didn't change their name. They used the same name, and what did they call themselves? New Tide. Well, I wish you could see what happened to their sales numbers when they did that. People heard it, they respected it, they tried it, and they changed it. And since then, over a number of years, the word new has disappeared because it's not new anymore. But the fact is, by using new, they got people to hear their name. And what I'm trying to do, and I've looked at hundreds of names over the past year, I've used a marketing consultant locally, we've looked at names, and it really came to the conclusion that you can't change Schenectady. Schenectady is what it is, and nobody's going to go for that. However, I said to myself, what happens if we just use one simple adjective? New. New Schenectady. Well, for those of us who know, and we hear the term, we know what New Schenectady is. But for those people who don't know what New Schenectady is, they're going to say, what do you mean New Schenectady? And that gives us a chance to explain it to them. There's no cost. We don't have to get any government approval to do it. It's a word that's here today and gone tomorrow if we should so choose. But it gives us a chance to leverage what we've done in a way that people might hear that Schenectady is today a different place. And I know you're all struggling to find a way, and certainly this community has many opportunities, but you know what? There are a lot of wonderful people in this community, and we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the people here that have made such a strong effort to bring this community to a different level. And I've spent the last 30 or 40 years working on it, and I ain't done yet. And I'm done until we find a way that we have something that helps us move the Schenectady reputation to a higher level. And so I wanted to share with you what the thought was. I have worked with my advertising people, and by the way, this is a very low-cost operation. I'm not asking for a dime, okay? But I think we can pull this off. My advertising guy has come up with some billboards that we're working on right now, some really clever, unique billboards that would get the message across, and some other methods of promotion and advertising that would be good for us. We've talked to the people that discover Schenectady, and they're anxious to work with us. And I think most of the people that we have talked to kind of think it's a good idea. So what I was hoping to get is your support and your agreement that you don't think this is such a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea, and maybe we can all help ourselves a little bit. And if we can get people from other communities saying, what's New Schenectady all about? That gives us a chance to deliver the message so that people can hear and we can be proud of what we've accomplished here. And we have all accomplished a lot. And this could not have happened without hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people doing their thing. We fortunately have gotten a good leader at the Metroplex who has been able to put lots of deals together. And what we created, by the way, when we designed Metroplex, every town in the county of Schenectady has benefited from the benefits that have accrued as a result of Metroplex. The Metroplex has given back to the towns close to over $90 million in tax benefits have gone back to the towns. And so that the relationship in the towns with the city, good, very good. And I'm hoping we can do more. So I'm asking for your support. I'll be happy to take any questions. I haven't stumped you.
Any questions? Mr. Williams?
So Mr. Gold, definitely thank you for the presentation. Just trying to wrap my head around to what extent. So would you have an example of how the designation New Schenectady would be applied? Like in my head, I'm trying to conceptualize it. Would it be Mayor McCarthy's City of New Schenectady, or would we be updating CDTA bus numbers? Or?
One of the things I want this to be is grassroots. And you recall I said all of us. And if we all say we live in New Schenectady, or this is part of New Schenectady, all we're doing is putting an adjective on a term that we have lived with. I've been in this city since 1937, a couple years, got a couple years under my belt, okay? But I'm still working for Schenectady, I haven't given up. And I still believe in this community. Before my dad passed, he had tried to turn Schenectady around, but unfortunately wasn't able to. And he said, Neil, he says, you have the ability to be able to do it. Would you please try? And work with Roger Hull at Union College at the time, and we did. And I think over these years, we've come a long way. And I think it's a grassroots thing that we can all do, that everybody in this room can do when we talk with our friends. And I'm sure when you ask your friends, if you've been to Schenectady, what do you think? They'll give you the same response that people have given me. Now, we got lots of things to do here. You know, we played a big role with the Boys and Girls Clubs, and this past summer with the police chief, we sent 50 kids from Arbor Hill to Ginger Cook for a week. You know, there's lots of good things going on here, good educational programs. Hopefully, more of the people in the school system will use what we've already given them. I underwrite a full-time group of people that teaches No Place for Hate. A full-time organization that goes around to the schools promoting from kindergarten through high school, No Place for Hate. And if we could figure that out as a community, as people, as friends, we'd be a much greater community. And that's what I'm hoping this will help us do. Just one more step.
Yep, Mr. Farley?
So I want to say I like the idea of New Schenectady because I think just adding new to it, but then, you know, Schenectady, you still capture the historic relevance and then all the good things that have happened. I think that something that we can do better as a city is really highlight the good things that are happening in the city. I think that, you know, to your point, there was a point in time where we had earned maybe a reputation that we shouldn't be proud of, but just...
But we earned it, by the way.
Yeah.
We did.
I'm about accountability.
But that's behind us, and I give the mayor a lot of credit. He's made a lot of very positive change in this community, and at one time I didn't support him, but I do now, and I think he's made a real effort. It's a group of people all trying to work together so that you can get your thoughts across. You know, in business, one of the things that I have tried to train my organization is you have to listen to other people. You have to hear what they say. And it's helpful even if you articulate what they said to make sure that you understand what they said. Too often people talk and nobody listens. And as a result, good ideas go by the board. If Bob Farley he said to me that one night, he said, we can get a public authority, but it's going to take you and me working together to get it done because it's going to be a big job. If I had let that idea go over my head and didn't hear it, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I happen to be a pretty good listener, and I've tried to train my people to be good listeners. And I hope as a council, as a city, as a county, that if we do the same thing, we can go a lot farther as a community of people all working together to figure out what our problems are and how do we fix them. And I'm doing my share, I guarantee it. I'm doing my share, and I'm going to continue to do it. I don't know how many more years I got around here, but I'll continue to keep working.
Anything else from Mr. Golub?
My friends call me Neil, by the way.
Well, thank you very much, Neil, for coming and
Any
joining us.
other thing? Do you have a question? No? Okay. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having me
much.
here. Thank you.
Have a good-
I'll give you your mic back.
All right,
Have a
thank you
good
very
rest
much
of
for
the
coming.
evening.
Okay, we only have one member of the Finance Committee here, so we're going to be moving all of those items to City Development and Planning. So we'll move on to Health and Recreation.
I'd like to open Health and Recreation. We have one item on the agenda, and that is, I'm proposing that we create a ceremonial resolution honoring the Schenectady Belmont Pop Warner cheerleaders, who I think all of you know are headed to the Nationals, and they're looking to raise some money to do so. I think they have a GoFundMe campaign underway already. Actually, Ms. DeToro has actually spoken to the coach, and we'd love to have them come next week and accept a resolution supporting them and congratulating them for all their hard work. I was a cheerleader in high school, so I have to say, old cheerleaders, you know, we don't give up the cheerleading. So that's what I would like to put forward. So I'd like a motion for that.
Move it. I'd like to move it.
And a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. And now I'd like a motion to adjourn. Okay, second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to call to order City Development and Planning, and now we have 6 items on the agenda. The first item on the agenda will be the reminder for the 2023 DSAD budget, and the public hearing is going to be at 11:28, and I believe that we have someone here from DSIC that, Mr. Salango, would you like to come up? Sure.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Salengo, Executive Director of the new Downtown Schenectady Improvement Corporation. I got to keep practicing that, but I mean, if anybody's been downtown in the last 15 years, I don't think you would argue that there was a lot of new down there. But I also just want to say my board president, Heather Peterson, here is, and board members Paul Ambrose and Andrea Cordelius, so thanks for being here. This has been a super busy year at the DSIC after, we all know, it's been a challenging few years before that. But so we did a lot of growth, a lot of learning, and we're really going to be going into 2023 with a real strong programs, a real strong suite of programs, and we're really excited about everything that we have in store. So the budget there you have in front of you, again, there's multiple pages, but to the City Council here tonight to approve the assessment portion of our budget, which is page 1. But when you get to page 3, that's sort of our overall budget, because of course we want to make sure that City Council knows how the assessment fits into the overall budget and our other income and expenses. So on page 1, as you recall, in 2020, the City Council approved our expansion of our district for the first time in our history. So we are now in Little Italy. We're all the way up Erie Boulevard to the circle by the casino, and then all the way down Broadway to exit 5, 890. And at that time, because of the expansion and the extra work, we had the strategy that our board had put together to do some incremental increases in the assessment to make sure we had the wherewithal to do all the new programming and the new services that we had to do. During COVID, we took a break with that because obviously that was a difficult time, and we had to make sure that we were being sensitive to the situation. But looking forward to next year, again, we're back on that strategy. So you're seeing our assessment for next year. The board has approved for $355, and then there's the base participation fee, which is the fee that the vast majority of the properties in downtown pay, except for some of the larger ones in some of the more core areas of downtown. And so that will be at $340 for 2023. The second page really is for the board. I mean, it breaks it down by our different program areas, how much of the assessment is going towards different program areas. And then page 3 is the overall budget with the full overview of the income and the expenses. And then the last 2 pages really do break down the remainder of that budget by our 2 main program areas, which of course are outdoor cleaning and maintenance and placemaking and improvements in downtown, and then our marketing and promotions and communications that we do to bring people downtown and make sure everybody knows all the great things that are happening in downtown. So if anybody has any questions.
Questions?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say that I'm just always impressed with what little really funding you have, how much you do and get done, and the physical labor that's put out there on a consistent basis. So thank you. Yes, everything just looks wonderful all the time.
Yeah, thank you. We're very fortunate to have a really great, strong team that really cares about downtown and what they're doing. So we're very lucky and very fortunate. So thank you for recognizing that.
How would you like move up State Street a little towards like Mohawk Ambulance, or what?
I think it would be a similar process to what we did back in 2019, where we did the research, we looked at the different properties, we looked at the impact would be, we estimated what the increase in expenses would be for bringing the services up there, and then we presented it to the council, and then we sort of did the process
That's
that
how
way.
it happens, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So the public hearing is going to be on
The 28th.
the 20th?
Yep.
Yes. All right.
Okay, great. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and also be sure to come down on Small Business Saturday on the 26th and shop small. because we've got some great, and there's going to be a great video we put together highlighting a lot of the downtown businesses that will be coming out on social media in the next few days, so look for that. Thanks.
All right, thank you, thank you. Okay, our second item on the agenda is the Upper Union Street Business District, and the public hearing will also be on the 28th. Come on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Antonia Nelson. I'm the treasurer of the Upper Union Street bid. We had a good year this year. We're rounding out the year with the tree lighting ceremony that we're doing a little bit bigger than we have in the past. Next year, we're going to keep the budget the same, but we're going to focus on street beautification and improving. We have some new banners that we bought this year that are going to be up in a week or so, and we're going to improve with hanging baskets, urns, flowers, maybe we're looking for some street art, things like that. That's how, and that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Questions? Mr. Toro?
I will say, coming down Union Street today, and the circle by the McDonald's, and that's just beautifully decorated. And it's just a quaint little section of Upper Union Street that just makes you feel like homey and welcome to our city. So it always looks very nice. Thank you.
We're
Yeah.
going to try for next year to get some more decorations.
Very
But
nice.
we're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. All right, item number 3, the public hearing for this was held on 11/14 for the purchase of 0.15 acre paper street behind 588 Broadway. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Madam President, at this point asking the council's approval to allow me to enter into a contract to sell that to the adjacent property owner, which is locating a business on Broadway.
Any questions? Ms. Patrick?
So FW Web, that is already confirmed that they're coming and locating their business there?
Yes.
We did have the public hearing, and there, as you recall, there was one business owner who had some concerns regarding that, so I just want to remind everyone. They thought that it was going to impact their business because they were, not just them, but the smaller businesses that were in the city and provided the same type of service. Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, Mary, you weren't there.
Well, in reviewing that, again, the company has a presence in the Capital District, in fact, in the Northeast, and where I believe the question was whether we were providing some incentive to locate this company here, and we're not. We're actually selling this piece of property at a premium over what we would normally get. And all the property in the city is very valuable, but this dead-end street is, I might classify it as slightly less valuable, but they've been more than willing to pay this, and it'll give them some parking, and they will also consolidate it into the other lot so that going forward it'll be more simplistic for people wanting to do anything with the real estate there.
Well, I think the people are going to be glad to hear they're not getting some incentive. I don't know if Mr. Birch, I believe it was.
Kraft.
From Birch mentioned that, but he did mention that he thought that would impact some of the smaller businesses when he came to speak at the council meeting last week. So just want to make sure.
They run a great business there. We want to promote them, and it's just good to have so much interest in Schenectady.
Any further discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
The other one, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item for discussion is the medical debt relief. Mr. Farland.
So, thank you, Madam President. So, this is just this idea, if you will, is kind of bringing it to the council in its infancy intentionally, because I think that at this point we can, I'm welcoming people to be thought partners on how we can do this. This happened in Toledo, Ohio, and there was another version of this in Chicago, I believe, where they were able to leverage $1.6 million. This was $800 from the city and $800 from the county. And they were able to leverage that money into what looks like it's going to be about $250 million to pay off some medical debt for the citizens, residents that live there. So I was, thinking that not only really impressed with, the ability to leverage the funds to that magnitude, but also to think about, what that does for our new Schenectady, as we're talking about, giving people an opportunity to kind of free themselves up from some debt, and they can, put them in a better position to buy some of those very valuable parcels of land that the mayor is talking about. And I think that this would be, something that is really worth some investigation as the council to see if it's something that would work for us.
Questions? Mr. Toro?
Thank you. How did they do that? Is there like an article or somewhere we can read about it, or will you present it a little further? Sounds good.
definitely. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, this is really in the beginning stages, but I will definitely share the article that I read that kind of piqued my interest with the entire council.
Yeah.
And I neglected to do that, so I'll make sure I do that. And again, we could copy and paste, what's done there, I think, but my initial thought isn't to just do that. I think we can kind of take what works, and then kind of open this up to our larger community discussion and get input from different stakeholders and, some people with areas of expertise in this to really see if we can leverage that. I was thinking about, all the kind of connective tissue, if you will, no pun intended, around like how it's medical debt is not just impacting people's ability to, to move upward economically, but really think about even like the health concerns, like so when people are having, one of the main reasons people don't go to the doctor is when they have some looming medical bills over their head, and it's like what that does is that makes us a sicker community overall, because then people go to the doctor when they have to, right? So it kind of can, definitely impact one's ability to access good medical care as well. So there's a lot of different, kind of positive byproducts as looking at something like this could do for the community. So I'm super excited about just the way that we can leverage such a small amount of money and to make sure that we can impact so many people. Like I'm really excited about that. I don't know any other parts we can get that type of leverage at.
So, Mr. Farley, in terms of what's the audience you're talking about? Is there a specific?
Well, again,
Can you talk about that?
So in Ohio, what they did is they used 4 times the federal income for poverty, right? Poverty times 4 times, because we all know that is very dated and not updated metric to use. So they did 4 times, and I was looking at just kind of like our numbers locally, and if we just use their threshold, then we're talking like for families, it'd be like 53% of the families that live in 12305. 57% in the families that live in 12304, and 12308 is 56 actually. So like there's definitely, obviously people in our community that could really benefit for something like this. Again, I think the part now is once we all get a little bit more information about this and start to look at, all bring our, our level of expertise to the table. And I think it's something that collectively we can do as a council to see if this makes sense. And I believe it does. And, so I really welcome you guys as thought partners on this.
Patrick?
I did a little research prepping for tonight, and I saw that the New York Health Foundation, I think some of the statistics maybe came from that the 41% figure perhaps. So I noticed, I wasn't sure if perhaps I noticed that the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate sent legislation to Governor Hochul, which hasn't been signed yet,
Yes.
To help alleviate medical debt. There were 2 specific areas relating to hospitalization, I think. So I would be interested in learning more about that. I tried to access, there's a lot of data by county, but I couldn't, I have to go back and try to figure that out. I wasn't able to find Schenectady County actually on the list of the entire country, by the way, is on this interactive map, to see what the percentage was in Schenectady County of people that actually have medical debt. But all that information is out there. I think that, I mean, I want to learn more. I think that, you know, obviously there's opportunity for people to, Medicaid, you know, perhaps helps with a lot of this, especially for lower income individuals. But I need to learn more as well.
Yeah, no, we all do, I think so. There's a pretty clear need, but again, I think that, you know, there's some a memo that was released by the Biden administration that kind of that spoke to this as well. So I think it would be wise for us to look at, you know, what's existing or what's likely to come, you know, even though these bills haven't been signed yet, legislation hasn't been signed yet, you know, to kind of look at what's likely to come, and, you know, we can, you know, use that as, you know, because again, I don't want to just copy and paste, you know, something from someplace else. I want to be kind of really see how responsive we can be to our community. And I was thinking about even, I don't know how many of us have been to the emergency room here in Schenectady, as you know, in a recent time. And, you know, unfortunately, I mean, you have fortunately, we have a team of dedicated medical professionals that are doing the best that they can. But there's also a really, really long wait time. And this is the emergency room, right? And, you know, and I would assume, when after talking with some of the workers there, I know that there's staff shortages and things of that nature, but it's also people, you know, the emergency room has to treat you, right? There's a different level of obligation when someone goes to emergency room as if they go to a different, you know, medical facility. So what ends up happening is that you have people that might be there, might not even be seeking that might be the appropriate level of care that they need in the moment. But if you have people that are waiting to get back to the doctor or waiting to go to the doctor just, you know, because they're concerned about how this medical bill are going to impact their family, then you get a whole bunch of really, really sick people who missed out on some preventative care that probably could have helped. And then, so not only does it make us sicker as a community, but then it messes with our access as a city to like those emergency medical services. And I know the mayor had speaking not too long ago about like the different things that you know, different type of innovations that we're trying to use to make sure that we can so again, so I think what highlights, I think that it's a conversation worth having. And I think it's a project that we all can kind of wrap our head around and see if we can produce something that improves people's quality of life here.
Yes, and I think when we're considering that, we also have to consider there are some programs in place currently with medical providers that if someone can't pay the bill, you know, so we should just look at all aspects of it if we're going to be considering how we could also participate and assist in it. So.
Yeah, and I did look, you know, which I would say very limited research, if you will, around like some of the existing programs. And what I think was unique about this is that this is looking to completely alleviate that medical bill. Instead, you know, I think that there's programs that exist that are operating on a sliding scale, but if you're able to consolidate and, you know, in that secondary medical market, you're kind of consolidating that debt, then your ability to leverage it, you know, your money is what makes, you know, such a huge difference. But no, and I think to your point, we really want to consider all things that are existing right now that are helping people, because there are things that are helping people. Absolutely. I think it's just a matter of scaling, and, you know, is this a really good opportunity for us to even be that much more impactful?
So what would you like your next step to be on?
So I think so. All right. So again, I'll email everyone kind of the research that I've been doing, the articles I've been looking at, and then, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, maybe we can bring it back in a couple of weeks and we can talk a little bit more about it as it starts to take a little shape, because I think we're in a really good position. I've reached out to Ohio, and they are, you know, more than willing to kind of help be thought partners and let us know about what worked for them and maybe what didn't. I think we're in a good position to kind of, you know, it can shorten our learning curve, if you will, you know, kind of using what works for them and what didn't, and then we can kind of identify some of those pitfalls that we won't have to experience. So I think a couple of weeks bringing it back, once we have some more of those conversations, and I welcome all my fellow council members to again, be our partners on it. We can probably have a more defined conversation.
So are you just talking about citywide, or so we're just talking about residents of the city?
Well, right now, right here, I'm talking about residents of the city because that's, you know, this is the city council, but I have reached out to some members of the county legend are interested as well, to see if it's something that makes sense. I mean, I'm welcoming in as many community partners as we possibly can. I don't want it to become one of those things that where if it's everything, it's nothing, right? For so many, but I want it to be manageable, but I really welcome, people's expertise and passion around the subject, because I think that it clearly is a real issue for our city.
Okay. We'll look forward to hearing from the information from you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the amended MOA with Metroplex for the reconstruction of South Church Street. Mayor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Council has authorized the city to enter into an agreement with Metroplex to manage and coordinate the development of what's generally referred to as South Church Street. Some of that was city property in the streets. Some of it was adjacent property owned by private entities. Some was county property. The project has been completed. I think people have gone down there to see how much better it looks. Parking's been improved, lighting's been improved. It was one of the reasons that we were able to attract Van Gogh coming into the Armory, was just having those improvements there. Unfortunately, the costs were a little bit higher than what the original estimates were. We found an underground tank, some of the lighting and other things that were a little more complicated. So that the original agreement doesn't have a dollar amount that allows me to now sign the final contract with Metroplex. The increased cost is about $154,000. It's unfortunate, but it's money that's been well spent, and again is generating a level of activity at that end of the street, that end of State Street, where we just hadn't seen it. So just continuing to build out downtown, and would ask the council's favorable consideration to allow me to, or to modify that dollar amount and allow me to enter into with Metroplex.
Could you repeat the amount that's increased by?
It's roughly $154,000.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
And the money is in the paving budget.
The money's already there.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's always good. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our final agenda item is the sale of 234 Duane Avenue, and for this property sale, we will need to go into executive session. So
I'll
members of
make
the
that
public will
motion.
have to
Sorry,
leave.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. We're in executive session, and members of the public will have to leave.